Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you again. This is Sound Stories, Tales and Tales, and I'm Jeff Holland Sonic Artist. The instrument that I was playing at the beginning and that you actually hear on the recording behind me is the mbira. And if you remember, last episode I introduced you to my friend Shumba. Shumba is the lion, and these keys represent the lion's family. We have the lion in the lowest key, then we have the lioness, and we have the cub. So Shumba went on a journey to find friends that had tales to tell. And I wanted to introduce some of those friends to you. In our first sound story, you may remember Shumba. And Shumba had just found out about his tail. And his curiosity led him on a journey to find friends with different tails. He noticed when he was growing up that all of his animal friends had tails of different kinds. What's that, Shumba? Oh, he's wondering what kind of tails you guys have. What do you mean you don't have a tail? Oh, see if you can find something around your house that you can make a tail with. I'm going to see if I can find, I've got a magic bag around here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Here's my magic bag. What do you mean you can't see it? It's invisible. That's why it's a magic bag. Now, if you don't have an invisible magic bag, maybe you could just find something that you can make into a tail. I found something really cool. Let's see if I can find it again. I put it somewhere. Oh, here it is. So when Shumba looked at his tail for the first time, he was a young cub and his tail was very small. Now, you may find something small for your tail. You may have a medium tail, or you may make a really long tail. It's up to you. And do you notice that Shumba's tail has a little tuft at the end? This is something that he would use to help shoo the flies away from his face. And he noticed that his mother had a tuft on the end of her tail that looked a little bit different. Maybe you can find something to put over the end of your tail. Shumba became interested in tails because when he was really a young cub, he used to follow his mother's tail around everywhere she goes. And he noticed that when his father and his uncles, the adult lions, would go hunting, that sometimes they would send signals with their tail. And so they could tell which way they wanted each other to go. It was a way that they could communicate without saying anything. In a lot of ways, that's what we do with music, is we use it to communicate. Do you have something that you could make into a musical tail? Let's see what this one sounds like. So when I twirl the tail, air blows over the end of the tube. Now, it's not a real tail. This is a musical instrument. When I was growing up, we used to use vacuum cleaner hoses, and they would make that same sound. So on your found sound treasure hunt, see if you can find something that you can make into a tail. Now, Shumba wrote a list of questions, and he was really interested in finding out some of the things about other animals' tails. And this is how we'll create our sound stories today. If you had a tail, think for a second. What kind of animal are you? What kind of tail do you have? How do you use your tail? How long is your tail? When does your tail help you? Where does your tail follow you? All of these are things that Shumba wanted to know about other animals' tails. In chapter 2, let's see what Shumba finds out about Lydia the lizard. I'm going to put Shumba's tail maybe right over here. And let me show you some of the instruments that I use to create this first piece. What do you hear? So I use the drums made from antelope skin. I also use some drums that are made of cow skin. You can make instruments out of just about anything. This xylophone is called a balafone. And they carved the keys just out of sticks of wood, little pieces of wood. But the bottom uses gourds. In fact, there's a special spider that spins a web inside of these gourds, and it gives it a special sound. Isn't that cool? So if you notice, the longer notes make a lower sound. The shorter notes make a higher sound. So just about anything that you can find that's longer can make a lower tone. In the last video, I used my tongue drum. And the tongue drum has different shaped tongues. Or in this video, we can think about those as tails. The longer a tail, the lower the note. The shorter the tail, the higher the note. Here's a long note. I mean a long tail. Then as the tails get shorter, the notes get higher. Shumba begins to follow the river. This river in Zimbabwe is called Mahororo. And the river winds back and forth, and Shumba follows the river. He has his list of questions. Why do you have a tail? How do you use your tail? What kind of tail do you have? How does your tail help you? So as Shumba made his way up the river, he noticed something scurrying in the leaves. He jumped onto a log, and all he could tell was that it was very fast. he could see the remnants of a short tail that was tapered down to the end. What kind of animal do you think Shumba saw? It was Lydia the lizard. Lydia said hello. And Shumba saw that she had a very long tail that normally had a little tip on the end. And he asked Lydia, "What in the world happened to the tip of your tail?" And Lydia said, "Oh, you'll never believe this. As I was out getting food one day, a lion came by and thought I looked like lunch. The lion jumped toward me and I barely got away, but it caught the end of my tail. And guess what? It was either going to be my tail or me, and so I let the lion have the tip end of my tail to eat." Shumba said, "Oh no, I would never." Well, Lydia said, "You know, sometimes it happens. I actually store fat in my tail, and so if I ever get really, really hungry and my tail happens to fall off, I might even eat the tail myself." Shumba couldn't believe this. "Lydia, what do you mean you would eat your own tail?" And she said, "It's great nourishment, but a lizard's tail can grow back in about 60 days. In about 2 months, she'll have a new tip on the end of her tail." So Lydia the lizard and Shumba the lion continued up the river. They were wondering what kind of friends they might run into. And they noticed up ahead of them, there was something that looked like a football on the side of the road. They thought, "I wonder what kind of friend that is that looks like a football." Let's see if I can find another instrument in my magic bag. Do you know what they saw that looked like a football? It was an armadillo. This is Arnold, the armadillo. Arnold said, "Hi, guys." And they noticed his tail was a little different from Lydia's tail. It didn't have a tuft on the end like Shumba's tail. It was very long and slender, and it was just kind of sticking out of his shell. They thought, you know, we saw another friend that had a similar tail, and it was a turtle. Sometimes turtles have a little tail, or sometimes they're a little bit longer, and they stick out of their shell. When a turtle gets scared, they can actually pull their head and their legs and their tail inside of their shell and protect themselves. Animals use their tails for many different things. What can you imagine that you use your tail for? Can you use it to follow someone? Or lead someone? Would they watch your tail to see where you're going? Or if you were hunting, would your tail be able to send signals? Maybe your tail just swats flies. However you use your tail, Have you ever wondered, where does your tail follow you? Or where can your tail take you? Life's journey is full of surprises. Let's meet one more animal. There's a very strange animal in Africa that hisses. No, it's not a snake. It's actually the hissing cockroach. And it sounds something like this. When it gets angry, it hisses more. And it sounds bigger than it really is. It uses that as a defense mechanism. So as Shumba, Lydia, and Arnold made their way down the road, they noticed a cockroach that was scurrying back and forth across the road. Maybe it was hunting for food too, but they wanted to know, what kind of tail does a cockroach have? So as they got closer to the cockroach, they noticed it was hissing at them. And they said, "Cockroach, don't be afraid of us. We just want to know what kind of tail you have." And the cockroach said, "I don't have a tail. I have a head, a thorax, and an abdomen." The abdomen is usually as big as the head and thorax, or bigger put together. So it's almost like the tail is the main part of the cockroach. But the cockroach really doesn't have a tail. It's a completely different animal in the insect family, and insects don't have tails. So sometimes when you see something like a dragonfly, or if you see, what else? A spider, an ant, those animals don't have tails. So Shumba and Lydia and Arnold the armadillo continued on down the road looking for other friends that had tails so that they could tell them about the sound stories that we're creating. So this is a great rhythm for you to start to practice your drumming along to. Can you drum a little bit with me? Let's have a little drumming break. Oh, that's a lot of fun, isn't it? Oh, you sound great. Keep your rhythms going. Maybe add some different sounds. Can you find anything to shake? No, stop shaking your tail. I mean something that can make a cool shaker sound. If you've seen my videos before, you know that I'm Jeff Holland Sonic Artist, and I play anything that you can shake, rattle, scrape. Maybe Arnold wants to say a little bit more. Oh, we forgot to name the turtle. What do you think the turtle's name should be? Speedy. Yeah, that's a... No, not such a good name for a turtle. How about... Thomas. I think Thomas is a good name for a turtle. What do you think? We'll call him Tom for short. So this is Tom the turtle. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never really heard a turtle sound like that. It just happened to be the way that I play the instrument. Did you recognize how I played it as a percussionist? Yeah, there's little ridges on the back, little bumps. And some are small, some are large, kind of like tails. But these ridges are something that on a turtle don't make a sound, but they are kind of cool to look at. Maybe in another video, I'll show you some of the real turtle shells that I've been playing. That would be cool. Are you guys ready for chapter 3? Let's turn the page and find what we can see. So if you remember in my last story, Shumba the lion's first friend, one of his early friends, was the elephant. Now, he had a particular elephant friend named Ella, and Ella had an interesting tail. Her tail was kind of like Shumba's. Remember how Shumba's tail had a little tuft at the end? Well, her tail had a lot of hair at the end. In fact, that was just about the only hair that Ella had on her body, was at the very end of her tail. And a few strands running along the tail, and she also used it to keep flies and insects, things that would bite her. She would swat at them and scare them away. So as Ella came walking down the road, I think her footsteps probably sounded something like this. Can you find something that makes a really low sound? Maybe use the palm of your hand on a big drum, or you could play on your desk, or maybe even just on your belly. So as Ella came marching down the road, Shumba wanted to find out how Ella used her tail. Right behind Ella, as she got closer, they could see that Ella had a baby elephant. And do you know what that baby elephant was doing? It was holding on to her tail. So when Ella stopped, Shumba said, "Ella, you have a baby elephant hanging off of your tail." And Ella laughed a little bit. Shumba said, "Ella, what is that baby elephant doing hanging on your tail?" And she said, "Oh, that's my little boy, and he follows me everywhere I go." Shumba still didn't understand why he was hanging on to her tail. And Ella told Shumba, "If he doesn't hang on to my tail, sometimes he gets distracted." There are so many things that can distract a baby elephant, and maybe he can get lost. So Ella told her baby elephant to hold on to her tail so that he would follow her and not get lost. So in a way, Ella the elephant used her tail to provide safety for her young. Many animals do that. They connect with their tails. They use their tails to signal other animals, and the little ones follow that little tuft on the end of their tail everywhere they go. Let's see what I can find in the magic bag. I heard about some animals. Let's see. I've got to dig really deep this time. Oh, I think I found them. Here they are. I'll put the bag down. What do these look like? If you said hooves, you're right. In our first sound story, we talked about the sound that horses make when they gallop. But there's a horse in Africa that has black and white stripes. Some people wonder, is it black with white stripes or is it white with black stripes? I think the answer is yes. It could be either way. Did you know that do you not know what that animal is? A zebra. So zebras have black and white stripes, and it helps with their camouflage. That way, when they're standing behind small trees or tall grass in the savannah, animals like Shumba's family, lions that hunt the zebras sometimes, they might not be able to see them. But did you know that even a zebra's tail is camouflaged? Yes, it sure is. A zebra's tail is striped too, and it has that little tuft at the end to keep the flies away. Let's see what a zebra sounds like in our story. Can you gallop like a zebra? So a lot of animals have hooves. That's what's making that clacking sound. But there's all kinds of animals that have hooves with different tails. So as Zelda the zebra galloped away from Shumba, Shumba noticed some gazelles in the distance. And as he got a little bit closer, he noticed that all of their tails perked up right before they ran away. And Shumba thought, well, that was strange. Am I supposed to follow their tails, or were they trying to tell me something? Well, the antelopes didn't hang around when Shumba got close. But Shumba wasn't trying to eat the antelope. He just wanted to know what was going on with their tails. So Shumba started to holler, "Hey! What's up with your tails?" One antelope turned around. His name was Anthony. So Anthony the antelope stayed a long ways away from Shumba, but they hollered back and forth. And Shumba said, "I'm Shumba, and I have a tail. What do you use your tail for?" Anthony the antelope said, "When we see a lion coming, or if we're in danger, we stand our tails up as we run away to let everyone know that there's danger and we should all run away together." That made sense to Shumba. He didn't understand why they ran away at first, but he did see their tails stand up. And so every animal uses a tail a little different ways. Some of the largest antelopes have longer tails. There's one, I love the name of the wildebeest. It's actually, some people call it a gnu. The gnu is one of the largest antelopes. It usually has these long, their horns look something like this. Now, I'm pretending. In my stories, you have to use a lot of imagination. So what we're listening to is the gallop of animals with hooves. We have the handpan, and the handpan is kind of like that magic turtle shell. So Shumba was hanging out with the antelopes. There was Anthony, and we'll say the wildebeest was named William. All of a sudden, Shumba noticed a really tall animal coming out from behind a tree. This animal had spots in a very decorative pattern. It was also a type of camouflage. It was yellow with brown spots, or maybe it was brown with yellow lines. You can think about it either way. Do you know what animal that I'm talking about? Now, this animal has a tail a little bit longer than a lion's. A lion's can be as long as 2 or 3 feet, but this animal's can be 3 or 4 feet. And the feature that makes this animal really stand out is its neck. Its neck could be 10 or 12 feet long. What animal do you know that has a really long neck that can help it reach up to eat leaves from the tallest tree branches? A giraffe. So Gerald, that was the giraffe's name, Gerald, came running up to Shumba and said, you know, our tails kind of look alike, but we're very different animals. How do you use your tail? And Shumba said, well, when I was young, I followed my mother's tail, and I could see it everywhere she went, even in the tall grass. And I watched my father hunt, and his tail would signal for the other lions to go in different ways. Then I used my tail on a hot summer day to keep the flies away. Uh-oh, the tuft fell off the end of my tail. Sometimes that happens. If your tail breaks, hopefully you're like a lizard and you can grow it back again. All of these tails are used in similar ways. Do you remember the monkeys from our first sound story? They had long curly tails, and they would use them to hang from the tree branches. I've even heard that monkeys can hang from the branches while they sleep and their tails don't let go. I don't recommend trying that. So I thought we would add the monkeys back into our story. Are you guys ready for chapter 4? Let's see if Shumba can find some other animals. We forgot to name the monkeys. What should we name the monkeys? One is really big and one is really small. How about if we call the big one Maxie and the little one Minnie? Because Maxie is about the max size of a monkey and Minnie is just the smallest version of the monkey. So as the monkeys and Arnold the armadillo, Lydia the lizard, Zelda the zebra. Who else did we? Oh, don't forget about Ella the elephant. Continue down the road. All of a sudden, something in the distance was stirring up dust, and it was running at them at full speed. oh my goodness, what is that coming? Charging right at us. And they looked closer and they could see that it had a big horn coming out of its nose. And it was coming at them so fast, everybody was scared. What kind of huge animal with armor plating and a big horn do you think this was? You're right. It's a rhino. A rhinoceros. Can you spell rhinoceros? Now, rhinos have been on the earth for about 50 million years. Before that, maybe they were a descendant of the Tyrannosaurus. Wait, this isn't a Tyrannosaurus. Right? What is this? Oh yeah, a Triceratops. Now a Triceratops had a big shield around its head. The rhino doesn't have that, but it still has 2 ears and a big horn on the end of its nose. Some rhinos even grow an extra horn or 2. And all the rhinos get along, but when one is charging toward you, you better get along as fast as you can run away from it. You could probably never outrun a rhino because I hear that they can travel like 30 or 40 miles an hour. That's as fast as riding in a car. Way faster than a human can run. The rhino came charging as fast as it could, and everybody froze. They didn't know what to do. Suddenly, the rhino stopped and said hello. Everybody was surprised that the rhino was actually friendly. This is Rhonda the rhinoceros. Rhonda's rhythm probably sounded something like this when she was charging. Everybody wanted to know, Rhonda, can you tell us, in case we find another rhino that's not as nice as you, what in the world can we do to be safe? If we see a rhino charging, is there a way that we can stop it? Rhonda had to think for a long time, and she thought, there is a way that you can stop a rhino from charging. Do you guys know what it is? You could take away their charge cards, and they can't charge anymore. Too funny, too funny. Rhonda said, seriously, I love all of the different ways that you guys use your tails. What kind of tail do you have? How do you use your tail? Every tail's a little different. If you guys have stuck around this long, I think it's time for one more animal to end chapter 4. And then if you remember in my last video, we had a dance party. Are you guys ready for the dance party again? So this last animal came moving really slow. Compared to the other animals, this animal only moves about 1 mile per hour. And when you see it, you can see a head. Maybe, is it a body or is it a tail? This animal is almost completely tail after their head. Do you know what it is? No idea? Its voice would sound something like this. Or sometimes their tail sounds like this. We'll meet Rocky the Rattlesnake in our next video. But if you said a snake, you're right. Guess who it was? It was Monty the Python. And Monty got there just in time for the dance party. Are you guys ready for our dance party? Shake our tails. Wonderful time jamming with you today. Enjoyed seeing your dance party too. Keep your rhythms going. I'm Jeff Holland Sonic Artist. This was our second edition of Sound Stories, Tales and Tales. Until we get to jam again.